They are in other parts of the world. In West, electric cars. This is where they come unstuck. The power, where a bit of snow, the power where they get their charge, their electric cars, so it can go somewhere. They have to get that kind of thing. And sure, they weren't walking, so here they are, stuck, can't go anywhere. And in some cases, I think they had to abandon them. A bit of snow. So just I digress there. Talking about weather, we've wet weather, but it's not cold or freezing or anything like that. It's just that we're on the Europe, and I suppose rain and sort of storms, but they're not hurricanes. And generally speaking, there can be strong winds and do a bit of harm. But otherwise, we could be worse, couldn't we? There are earthquakes in some countries, so we have to be thankful. Now, Bishop E. Strickland, a lovely book written, and he has it light and leave, in other words, light, the light of our Saviour, and the challenges of the laity in the 21st century. Marvellous book written by Catholic Answers Strickland, Joseph Strickland, speaking at various events. And here in Ireland, Catholic Voice, Catholic magazine that comes out every 2 weeks, and it's a very good magazine, edited by a chap called Anthony Murphy. He does a good job, and the ones that write in it are very good. And he had Bishop Atanius Snyder, that's another great bishop, at a conference there some time ago, and it was held big conference hall, and everybody then went up for his blessing and that type of thing. And I wasn't going to go, but then when I saw the queues just sort of finishing, I went. But then there was more behind me, and so I got his blessing, and that's a great thing to get because he's a very good bishop on the style of and a traditional bishop in the style of Bishop Joseph E. Strickland. So I just paraphrase some of the stuff that he said. I won't read it because I'm writing to them for to try and get permission to actually read it because it's copyright. Just a minute, let's see. Yeah. Let's see, it's by the first by the Catholic Answers Incorporated, which is very good, and a host for their website, a fellow called CY, it could be stand for Cyril Kellett. He's the host of Catholic Answers Live. So they're a marvellous outfit, and writing to them for permission to be able to read their book because I certainly like what Bishop Strickland stands for. And, in some ways, he intimidates there, and just part of it that the Protestant Reformation that happened with Martin Luther, a very disturbed, sort of a former monk. And anyway, he kind of started it. And of course, the powers that be, the people that with power, saw an opportunity to get their hands on the great land that the monks had, and given helping got food from and all the rest of it. So they were a force for good, and the poor people that couldn't afford much because they were downtrodden in some ways in Britain and other countries, they got help from them. So Protestant Reformation caused a lot of problems to the Protestant Catholic faith, and while they've quietened down in some ways, they use the Bible, and it's estimated that there's about 30,000 different Protestant um, denominations and their interpretation of the Bible. But in the Catholic faith, and consecration, um, all the great gifts of the sacrament of confession, and the body, blood, soul, and divinity, and the tabernacles and the stations of the cross. We have a lot of gifts, and Bishop Strickland highlights some of them. And of course, he compares the present time in some ways to the Roman Empire that persecuted Catholics and led a very corrupt life in debauchery, and it didn't do them any good. All that kind of stuff does not, and it's Jesus, the light of the gospel. And I compared that period to now, only maybe worse, because everybody wants to be their own judge of what suits them and don't take any. So they're gone astray in many ways, and governments, politicians, media, and people themselves have gone astray. They're going down a long road. And well, Jesus did say in his time, we're reading the Gospels and doing St. Luke's at the moment in the morning. And he did say that the road to heaven is narrow and the road to perdition is wide. Advice and the light that Jesus that he produced, because these ones that purport to be theologians and knowledge with all the rest, but they often too much qualifications often leads people astray, doesn't it? I think the simpler you are, the better. Bishop Strickland seems to do that, and he as time went on, he moved to the real business of the traditional, like the epistle, the responsorial psalm, and the gospel. That it could be in Latin, but then it'd be translated into English. So that, and everybody in my time, when Latin was the universal language of the Catholic faith, that's what it is. It's not something kind of conservative and rigid as some of the Vatican employ. It's great reverence and devotion with the priest facing the tabernacle, which is an advisable way to do, isn't it? Face the tabernacle. Don't turn your back on it, because can you visualize you going into the church to say your prayers and turn your back on the tabernacle? You couldn't do it, could you? You've got soul and divinities. Priests that always face the tabernacle, and others do as well. I'm not a lone voice there, but having been brought up in it, I know how viable it was. So that's briefly, I think, what Bishop Joseph Strickland, marvellous bishop, marvellous. So you could do it more than them. There are a few, thanks to God, and the more the merrier, in that sense, for to nourish the faith and bring people back to the joy and the peace that they have when they practice their Catholic faith and say their prayers. It's not going around with a long face and that, but in everything that you do. And if you lie down with dogs, you get up with fleas or something, somebody said. So mind who your friends are, and moderation in everything that you do and say, that type of thing. And if you're married with children, try and teach them the Catholic faith and say the Holy Rosary every evening. Nothing wrong with that, is there? That's the way to nourish your faith and do good and you're going a narrow road, a narrow gate. Once you do that and you've joy, peace in your heart and soul, you're whistling. You're not going around with a long face and wondering, well, I'll do some hymns after. Would you like that? So pick your seats and I'll burst into song. No music, I'm afraid, and though I might put on something gentle, nobody else singing, only yours truly. And I'll be encouraging you to have a go as well, because God knows what you're doing. You don't have to be an expert. I'm not an expert or anything like it. So I'll talk to you shortly after this. Bye now.